99.1, the sports animal. You know, we talk MMA here on the station, on the show. Excited about Bellator MMA 274 this Saturday, live on Showtime. Gracie versus Storley. We're going to get into that main event, take a look at the full card at the Mohegan Sun Arena in Connecticut. And to talk about this and break it down, we've talked to him before. Excited to have him back on the show. He is Showtime MMA analyst for Bellator at The Real Punk. Former champion, terrific analyst, Josh Thomson joins us on the show. Josh, Vince in Knoxville, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are things over there?
Man, we're good. A little cold, but not as cold as Connecticut, where you guys will be. But man, the action's gonna be hot up there. Let's jump into the main event. Man, the Gracie name carries so much weight, so much history. And when naming Gracie, saw him come off of that win over Lemminger, where he showed, that the strike game to go with obviously all the wrestling pedigree. We'll go one by one with the guys. Tell me about Gracie and how far he has gone in developing as a more complete MMA fighter.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this for the longest time. He is, to me, the best Gracie that's ever fought in the cage, hands down, when it comes to being the most well-rounded, the most confident, he has the most ability out of all of them in terms of his athleticism, his ability to, I mean, there's been talks of other Gracies being able to do what he's been able to accomplish, but they've never been able to live up to what he's been doing. Now, don't get me wrong, there's the Hoists and the ones that kind of help pave the way. But in terms of the newer generation of fighters that family has produced, he is hands down the best one out there. And he is now worked with King's MMA out there in California, getting training there, training with the Rafael Cordero in terms of his striking. And he showed in his last fight against Lemminger, his striking has come a long way. And he set up that finish against Lemminger with a beautiful elbow, and then he pieced him up with the combinations and the uppercuts. He put his combinations together. Now, a lot of young talent, what they would do is they would smother their combinations. You see it in boxing all the time. They rock someone, they smother themselves to where nothing clean lands. He stepped back. He gave himself room to work. He landed the harder shots, got Lemminger out of there. Lemminger's a tough dog, and he just was able to piece him up. Now, this fight is obviously a different style of fight. Lemminger was a wrestler as well, but Logan Storley is just a different type of wrestler. 6-time state champ, and out of South Dakota, and then a 4-time All-American out of the University of Minnesota. When we're talking about these two, Logan's got to be able to get this fight to the ground and not have to worry about getting submitted. But with the Gracie name, if you're thinking to yourself, that's got to play something in the back of your mind. Like, man, if I take this fight to the ground, can I withstand the jiu-jitsu of Neiman Gracie? That's a lot going on Logan's mind on what he's going to do. And on the feet, now with Gracie's newfound striking abilities, where does that put Logan Storley? Because his striking, sure, is good. But what I saw from Neiman, is it better than Neiman's? And I don't think it is right now. So when I'm talking about these two things, Logan's got the ability to out-wrestle him, out-position him, but can he avoid the submissions? And on the feet, I would say they're probably neutral, but I would give the slight edge to Neiman Gracie on him using his reach and his range and his newfound skills on the feet.
We're visiting with Josh Thomson, analyst for CBS Showtime for Bellator MMA. It's Bellator MMA 274, Gracie versus Storley, two of the top welterweights on the planet on display, trying to position themselves for a title fight at 170. You're talking about Storley a little bit. His only loss was to Yaroslav Amosov. What did you learn in that fight about Storley that maybe might translate moving forward?
Storley's a dog, because that fight came down to the last round. They had both won one round each. It was a very close fight. Yaroslav Amosov dominated Douglas Lima. I mean, he dominated every round, every aspect of that fight. And Douglas Lima has been the pillar of Bellator, one of the pillars of Bellator for the longest time. He's been the welterweight champ multiple times over. And people just people can't get past Douglas Lima's leg kicks. Whereas Logan Amosov was able to just walk right through him, get the takedowns, and dominate the positions. And Logan Storley fought him to a split decision, close fight. But styles make matchups, and in this fight, Logan Storley has got to make sure that he avoids the submissions. Because, I look at comparisons, right? If I'm going to take someone that that Naaman Gracie has fought that's similar to Logan Storley, I would say a John Fitch. John Fitch has fought the who's who in the sport of MMA. George St. Pierre, Josh Burke, man, all these other guys, Paulo Harris, Thiago, like all these fighters, these amazing fighters. That being said, Naaman was able to get him out of there with the knee bar / almost like a reverse heel hook position. Logan's got to be careful he doesn't get his legs caught up training or fighting Naaman Gracie. In those exchanges, he's got to watch his knees, his ankles. He's got to watch every little thing, making sure that his hands are off the mat, making sure that he's not posturing up too much and giving Naaman a chance to roll underneath and to start attacking those legs and get to that top position. Because the last thing that Logan Storley wants is Naaman Gracie around those ankles and those knee bars, because he is nasty. He's got great techniques when he comes to those positions.
Man, love the X's and O's breakdown. Who needs a telestrator, right? You can verbalize.
Yeah, right? I can walk you through this. Just got to follow along. You got to know the sport a little bit. I can walk you all the way through it.
Hey, so real quick, we'll get back to the co-main and the rest of the card in a minute. How do you feel like you've evolved as a broadcaster now doing this more?
There's a couple things. Like talking to you, I get all amped up, I get pumped up, and I start just kind of talking and just going into it. But I mean, when we get on the TV, a lot of the times it's really about slowing it down, making sure that everyone at home can understand and engaging them, bringing them into the conversation. There's a lot of things that I've learned from a lot of the production team and the directors and my executive producer, in terms of just talking to me about how I need to slow it down, how I need to talk and engage the audience, making sure you look at the camera, bring them in a little bit, let them know you're thinking of them, letting them know that, hey, this is for you guys. I'm not just here talking to my analysts, up here at the desk. I'm letting you guys know this is what it's all about. These are the fighters to look out for. But, when I'm talking with you, it's just about let's go, because it's fight week, and that's what it's all about. It's really just, I get that vibe and that feeling right now. The two of these guys are at the top of the chain in the welterweight division across the world. And I get so pumped up because the winner of this should most likely end up getting into a title shot. But they've got somebody in the middle there called Jason Jackson. They call him that, and I don't want to cuss a little bit, but they call him the ass kicking machine. That's his name. And so his nickname is that. And so he is next in line. It seems to be he's got to win, over one of these guys. And it's just one of those things where now whoever wins this is going to be, do they fight again to see who ends up getting to that title shot? Because Amosov is fighting, MVP coming up and, over there in London. So there's a lot going on right now. And so it's just so much to be excited about, and I'm pumped for it.
Yeah. And love those options. I know Bellator does when you can go a lot of different directions, and obviously the results need to play out to give you the most of those options. We're visiting with Josh Thomson, analyst for Bellator on Showtime. So co-main event, another talented guy in Andrei Koreshkov against Chance Rencounter. Obviously, Koreshkov, a former champion in the welterweight division. What do you think about these two sizing up?
See, he's another guy that just doesn't get enough respect. Koreshkov, the reason why is because he had lost to Douglas Lima twice, but he's also got to win over Douglas Lima to win the welterweight title. Mm-hmm. He's kind of one of those hidden gems. He brings power on the feet, spinning kicks. He's very exciting. He's got a couple flying knee knockouts. I mean, he's got a spinning back kick knockout. He's got a lot of explosive tools, but he can also wrestle, and his ground and pound is nasty. A lot of what people talk about is that he can mix it up and he can take this fight anywhere. But he's one of those fighters that he's kind of been hidden behind, because you've got all of the people that are explosive on the microphone. You got MVP, and then you got Naaman Gracie, who's just based on the name Gracie, carries a lot of weight in this sport. And you got Logan Storley, who's just been creeping up there with all his accolades in wrestling, whereas Koreshkov has now been put kind of a little bit behind. But he's dangerous for all of those fighters. To watch him, I'd like to see him and someone like Amosov fight, or him and, Naaman Gracie fight. I mean, like, you got him and Jason Jackson would be an absolute barn burner of a fight. He is a stud. But Chance Rencountre is tough as well. He doesn't have the power that Koreshkov has. He's got to have to stick and move and wait for Koreshkov to overcommit. He needs to get this fight to the ground, and he needs to be on top. He cannot afford to be on bottom. He's got good submissions, great attacks, but from the top position he'll have a better chance of getting that finish. He's more of an output type fighter. So Chance will be someone that sticks and moves, and he'll wait for Korshkov to overcommit, try to get in on the takedown. If he's able to get to the top position, you look for him to hit that. He's got a really good darce and an anaconda choke, work on that guillotine. He's quick on the neck. If he can get to those type of positions, he may have a chance.
Man, fun card. There's still a lot of other ranked fighters looking to position themselves. A lot of young prospects coming up, and I'll let you take it. The rest of the card, there's a lot of talented fighters on it. What catches your attention through the rest of this Bellator MMA 274 card?
The one that I'm looking to say will still probably the show would be Adam Piccolotti and Georgie Karahanian. Karahanian has been around for a long time, but he went down to 45, back up to 55. I'm telling you right now, he's a better fighter at 55. I've trained with Adam Piccolotti. He's like, I just call him basically the human ferret. He's someone that just, when he gets all wrapped up in the grappling, he just doesn't stop scrambling till he ends up on top. You know, he's coming off of a loss to Sidney Outlaw, but in that fight, he tore his MCL and his ACL and still went the distance with it. It was a close fight, but he is just nasty, good on the ground. Georgie being a black belt himself, Karahanian. And so the two of them, I'm looking to see their styles on the ground match up very well. Georgie will slow it down and try and get on that arm and guillotine and try and finish there. Adam Piccolotti is someone who will scramble to make sure that he's on top and avoid the submissions at all costs, but he's someone that will attack at all costs as well. And he had a great split decision loss to Benson Henderson. Adam did. Then he had that loss to Sidney Outlaw. But in his return after those knee surgeries, he's pumped. He's reinvigorated to get back on track. And Georgie's been looking really good at 55. I'm looking for that fight right there to steal the show.
All right, you heard it. There's your sleeper pick to be the fight of the night. It gets started 6 o'clock Eastern time on Showtime Sports YouTube channel and on Pluto TV, and then on Showtime at 9 p.m. So tell me a little bit tell our listeners about the Weighing In podcast.
So I do a show called the Weighing In Podcast with Big John McCarthy, who's basically legendary as he is the number one ref there has ever been basically in the sport. He helped create the rules. He helped write out the rules. He helped bring this sport to the platform that which it is now, from all organizations, from Bellator to the UFC to every organization that's ever used the unified rules or the rules themselves. He's done such a great job of promoting the sport and getting it to where it is. Him and I do a show together, and it's nice for us to have someone, it's great for the fans to have someone who understands the rules, because no matter what, for 20 years I was a fighter, former world champion. I still don't know the rules. And it's just one of those things, right? Like, you need to make sure that you have someone to break it down on how things end up being a DQ, how things end up being a no contest, why is that rule given 5 minutes and this rule isn't given 5 minutes to rest or recover. So there's a lot of reasons on him and I joining. We started working together at Bellator. He actually reffed my very first fight in the UFC, and then he reffed my very last fight when I fought for Bellator. So I was blessed to have him as a ref a bunch of times in the middle there as well. But he is definitely one of the pioneers of the sport. And so him and I joined to do the Weighing In podcast. You can find it on YouTube. All we do is break down fights. We talk about fights. We throw in a little bit of the news bits, the fun stuff. And, we have fun with it. This is a great – him and I would have never have thought. Him being almost – I always say he's a lot older than he is. But I say he's almost about – he's about 80-something years old now. And, and I like to give him a hard time about it. He lives right down the road from Knoxville.
Yeah.
So, so him and I, I would have never have thought, me being such a young guy. I know I look like I'm in my 20s, but I'm in my 40s. But, I got to make one of us look good. And so the two of us have a lot of fun. And I never would have thought in a million years we would vibe and connect the way we have. And we have a great show. And it's called the Weighing In Podcast on YouTube. It's on all the audio platforms, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, all of them. So check us out.
Yeah, you guys have great chemistry. And I love that when you guys disagree and you do a fair amount, it's never anything personal. You get after it, but it's never anything personal. So got to love that. You also are the owner, speaking of Knoxville, and we've had Big John on because he's right in our backyard, but you're the owner of the Knox Gym with 2 X's. Tell everybody about that.
Yeah. So back when I was fighting, I had some friends that started a clothing line called Knox. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing a sweater right now. So nice. I'm wearing a sweater. It says Knox. So we started a clothing line called Knox, and I helped rep it as much as I possibly could during my fight career. And that slowly progressed into hey, what are we going to do now? And I opened up a couple gyms, opened up a fitness gym, a martial arts gym. And we just decided, hey, why not join the two names but join the name and just say, let's call it Knox Gym. So I have Knox Fitness and I've got Knox Martial Arts and Fitness. So I've got a combination of 2 gyms. The kids always rock. We make gis, we make sweaters, we make hoodies, we make different types of rash guards, leggings, shorts, grappling shorts, everything for fighters, for athletes, for everything. So kids that are starting to get into MMA and learning jiu-jitsu or learning any type of kickboxing, we offer, rash guards and dry fit style clothes for young kids as well as adults. And so we've been doing that ever since, I would say, what did we start this in? It was 2000. I think it started in like 2005 or 6 is when we started it.
Man, that gear looks sharp, man. That sweatshirt looks so comfortable.
Oh, it is.
So where are you based out of? Where's your gym?
So we're in California, so
Okay.
I'm in the San Jose, Silicon Valley area, the most expensive place in the dang world to live. And Big John's been trying to get me to leave and go to Tennessee, and he's like, get out of that place. It's going to cost you too much money. So, but, I've called it home for my whole life. And, don't get me wrong, I've thought about it a couple times.
Awesome. Well, you'll see Josh and Big John McCarthy. They'll be breaking things down. Bellator MMA 274, Gracie versus Storley. Fantastic main event and card. 9 p.m. on Showtime, 6 p.m. on the Showtime YouTube channel. Yes, sir.
If you guys want to hear a little bit of a feel of what the Weighing In podcast is all about, Big John and I are doing a segment right before the main event. We're going to get after each other back and forth. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be right before the main event on Showtime. Make sure you guys check it out. We're going to take each other's sides. I'm going to take probably Neiman. He's going to take Logan or vice versa, but I'm going to destroy him. And that's really what this all comes down to, is me always winning.
Scoreboard.
Yes.
Hey, Josh, always a pleasure. Always tons of fun. Keep the great work going, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks.
All right, thank you. That is Josh Thomson, analyst for Bellator on Showtime. I'm Vince Ferrara, 99.1, the Sports Animal.